Breakups are seldom easy, and especially if you actually love someone but you know you cannot be together. What do you do? In this video, I'm going to provide you with 5 strategies to break up with someone that you deeply care about. The best and most effective, efficient, loving way to do so. And you're going to want to stick around, especially for the last one. And maybe, hint, hint, there's a bonus there that is so applicable in today's world for you and for us as a greater collective. And so that you can heal and move beyond that pain and learn to love again and love in really healthy ways. My name is Stefanos Stefanos, and I've been in the personal transformation space for 23 years. I've helped many people just like you, high-level, high-performing individuals move through difficult pain, past trauma, breakups, and challenges in relationships. My background's in behavioral science, developmental psychology, trauma, various mind-body modalities, and I'm super passionate about helping people heal. Let's dive in. Tip number 1, set the scene. You've got to make the choice. You've got to be clear you want to break up with this person. You may love and care for this person deeply, but you know they're not for you. So we're coming from this assumption. This partnership is no longer serving you in the way it needs to, and you want to end this in a healthy, mature, conscious way. Set the scene. That means do it in person. Create a quiet space, maybe in a neutral place, at their home, at your home. Maybe you live together. That can add more complexity, of course, but you want to set the physical environmental scene. You want it to be quiet, free of distractions, meaning you will ask them, hey, I've got something really important to speak to you about. Do you have a few hours later on today or tomorrow? You want their energetic buy-in. You want them to say, yes, of course, I want to be involved in this conversation that you're bringing to me, this thing that you want to share with me. And as you do that, now you're both in the situation together. What this does is it shows a mutual respect for the person and for yourself, and actually the third entity, the relationship itself. Now, I mentioned earlier about doing it in person, and sometimes that's not possible. So the next best thing would be a video conference. The next best thing would be a phone call. And the last option, or the second last option, is a text message or an SMS. And the last one is not saying anything and disappearing. Don't do that. Don't disappear. Don't ghost. Take ownership of where you're at. So let's move into tip number 2. I want you to really listen. I want you to ask meaningful questions, and I want you to share what you're there to share. It means actively paying attention, not only to what your partner or ex-partner is saying, but also their body language, what they're showing you. You really want to get into their heart, into their mind, into their body. Don't wait for a response or a reactive response to be defensive, to defend your position, to protect your own self. Like really, really listen. Use something like NVC, nonviolent communication, as a communication tool or strategy where you can really actively listen. You can mirror back what they're saying and what they're sharing. And then you can empathize and validate and really get into the conversation, really hear each other. In fact, you may want to both commit to a particular kind of communication before you even get into it. So that's tip number 2. Really, really listen to your partner. Tip number 3, be prepared for what's known as a conscious uncoupling. Now that may come later, or it may come in this moment. What I mean by preparation is bring to this meeting of minds and this meeting of hearts, bring with you maybe some sage, maybe some candles, maybe some pen and paper to write each other letters. Whatever practices or rituals you have in mind that you may want to lead, be and come prepared. Obviously, you've been with your partner for a period of time. You know them to at least some degree. Know what process or ritual or practice or prayer may be really useful for them as well to help them move beyond, or at least begin to move on beyond the relationships. So you just want to come prepared. You may not do any deep, deliberate, intentional rituals or practices in this session, in this uncoupling, in this breakup. However, later on in the relationship, you may do something. It may be mediated, it may be not. However, I want you just to come prepared. That's number 3. Number 4 is taking radical ownership, radical responsibility, and being radically vulnerable for your part in this relationship. So this isn't about justification and over-explanation. This is about you showing up to this relationship, honoring the container, honoring the relationship that you had, honoring the past, honoring your partner, honoring what they brought to the table, what they brought to the relationship, what you brought, and it's taking ownership of what you could have done better. So in other words, you're not only coming prepared with your own insight, but you are also coming prepared to see all of yourself through this other person. That is the beauty of relationships. They are tremendous mirrors for our growth and our expansion. They are able to often shine the light on the darkest part of ourselves that we cannot see. And so I want you to practice vulnerability. I want you to practice honesty, and I want you to practice ownership. And when you're able to do that, you're defusing defensiveness. And again, it's not about over-explaining. It's about showing up authentically. Vulnerability builds a bridge, and what it builds a bridge for is intimacy and connection. And we may be wondering, but we're breaking up. Like, why would I want to be vulnerable? Why do I want to build intimacy and connection when we're breaking up? Because you're still both human, and you still both care, and you still both feel. And remember, especially, this is a video specifically for, hey, I really care for this person, but I know this is not my person. And therefore, I don't want to drag the relationship on. So I'm not breaking up because I hate this person or I dislike them. It's just that I can't be in this relationship, but I still care and love this person. Now we're getting to number 5. And at number 5, where really this is really powerful. Ask what they need. Tell them what you need. It's very difficult to ask someone, what do you need when you're breaking up with them? Because we risk them asking for something that we cannot give. And part of that radical honesty and part of that radical responsibility and ownership and vulnerability is saying, I hear your request and I can't give you that if you can't. And if you can, of course, then you do. But you've got to also figure out within yourself, where's the response in giving coming from? Is it coming from a place of desperation, guilt, shame? Is it coming from a place of confusion? Or is it coming from a sincere place of, I feel healthy in my constitution around this request? And also learning to ask what you want is so important. That could be one of your wounds in relationship, that you're not proactive with what your needs and desires are in relationship. And now you have an opportunity to heal a part of that within yourself. And the bonus one, this is probably the biggest one. You're going to have to feel your feelings. This is what so much of our society does not do. We do not feel openly. We do not feel lovingly. You've just broken up with someone. Even if that person was really, quote unquote, bad to you, if they hurt you, if they were deceitful, if they were dishonest, if they broke boundaries within the relationship, if they weren't present, if they physically hurt you, if they abused you, all of that, that's still, a breakup is still difficult. We attach so much in relationship. There is so much attachment. There is so much meaning we give relationships and intimacy. And there's so much that we miss about familiarity as well in relationships. And so what we often do is those feelings are sometimes too overwhelming and too big. Especially when we care for someone and we're confused at some level. It's like, why are we breaking up? I love this person, I care for this person, but we're not working. The relationship isn't working. So you've got to get clear on that. You've got to get clear on the choice that you've made, who you want to be and how you want to show up in this breakup. And then once the breakup happens, you've got to allow yourself to feel. You've got to allow yourself to feel. If you don't, you will bring the same set of problems into the next relationship, the same set of fears into the next relationship. And if we don't feel, we're suppressing what's truly there for us to express. And what we often do is we get busy, we submerge ourselves into work, we start dating again too quickly, we distract ourselves with big shiny things. Maybe it's some retail therapy, maybe it's adventure and travel and adrenaline, whatever it may be. There's nothing wrong with dating, there's nothing wrong with shopping, there's nothing wrong with adventure, but the come from really matters. We have to create space for grief. We have to grieve the loss. We've got to give time for ourselves to really, truly feel. All right, I'm going to give you one more bonus. One more bonus. You may have to cut contact for as long as you need to. And in fact, I would recommend that you do for a period of time. And you can both mutually agree on that, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, but you need space to heal from the relationship, to gain new context, to gain new clarity, new perspective, to give you time and space to move away from the intensity of the connection that you had and just the familiarity of being in each other's lives and not being in each other's lives anymore. And that's going to come with a shock. So you've got to allow those feelings to come through. One thing I didn't say about feeling is feel in safe spaces. Feel with friends. Like really, really allow others to see you. Be witnessed by others in your shame, in your grief, in your guilt, in your pain, in your anger. You're going to go through the emotions. That's what grief is. That's what grief does. And there'll be times of joy and elation as well, and a sense of expansion and freedom. Feel it all. And make sure you laugh a little bit. Infuse and insert some laughter and joy and play into as part of the healing process. It's so important for you. So that is how you could break up with someone that you care for deeply. And one more thing, what you don't want to do is lie. What you don't want to do is drag it on. What you don't want to do is be dishonest. What you don't want to do is point the finger and blame. Take ownership and take responsibility. You got this.